Hello and a warm welcome back to the Conscious Man 7 podcast. I am your host Todd Cave and this is podcast 17. On this episode, I was a returning guest on the Red Pill Cartel Podcast and we talked about how to decrypt the Bible. We also talked about the Babylonian magic that has taken control over the planet. We also delved into religion in general, all three Abrahamic faiths. And if you are super religious, I must warn you that this information may trigger you. But at the same time, I implore you to give it a listen with an open ear and also try to prove the things that I am saying are incorrect for yourself, because I also bring receipts to the table. If you are new to this channel, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and to share, because that helps us to be recommended in the algorithms. If you would like to support this podcast, please check out our merch store on Amazon with the brand Todd and Me. We've got some cool t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies, and sweaters. Link will be in the description of this podcast. And if you're now starting a spiritual journey, you would like to start a spiritual journey, or you're currently on a spiritual journey and you would like some help removing some fears and traumas, please hit me up on my Instagram at Adriano_246 and it will help you to get some magic mushrooms. Enjoy the show and stay tuned because we have some special guests coming very soon.
When truth is blurred by lies and misinformation, perception becomes reality. What will you perceive your reality to be?
Liberate your fears and walk with me.
Sit down and meditate. Connect with your soul.
Be a monster and then learn how to control it.
You got to be willing to do the work.
So it really goes really deep in terms of words and etymology and what they mean. So this is why it is really hard to really crack the matrix, because there's so many levels and layers to it,
Welcome back, Cartel. I have returning guest, Mr. Todd Cave, on here again today. I wanted to get him back on because he's got a lot of biblical knowledge, and I wanted to drain that out of him tonight. And welcome back, Todd. How you been?
Hey mate, I have been well. Just doing a lot of work on myself and just watching the world get crazier and crazier, and just sitting back in the distance and just observing, because the disciples asked Christ, how shall we know when the end is near? And Christ said, you shall know by the signs. And we are definitely seeing loads of signs. So definitely I would say the end is near, but we don't know the time or the hour, but we do know that the time is near. So this is why I tell people all the time.
I was at work the other day and this guy was handing out tracts for his church, and I stood there and we were quoting scripture together, like at the exact same time. You know what I mean? Like the same scripture would come out of our mouths at the same time, and it was like sounded like it was in stereo. It was just a wild moment to experience. Like it was so cool. Because I asked him, "Do you think we're in the end times right now?" He's like, "Oh, for sure, dude." And then we started quoting scripture together, and it was like whoa! Like we could both feel like the hair standing up on our arms, right? It was pretty wild.
Absolutely. I have no doubt that we are in the end times right now, because the great sign in heaven was spotted on September 23rd, 2017, and that is a star alignment, and it talks about basically that is going to be the countdown for the end times. And we even had a cardinal or archbishop in the Vatican Church called Archbishop Vaticano. He confirmed in October 2020 that the great sign in heaven was spotted. So how I know that I have great confidence in the things that I say because I use a system of confirmations. So if I have different sources saying the same thing and that are not connected, my confidence in what I'm saying is the truth increases. And Archbishop Vaticano, for him to confirm that the great sign of heaven was spotted, and he also said that there's a faction in the Catholic Church. He calls the deep church because there's no other word or words you can use to describe that faction.
The
But
deep church or D
yes,
church?
deep church.
Okay.
So he uses that term because he says that the deep church or the faction in the Catholic Church that basically they worship Satan, they are working with the deep state to bring in the New World Order.
Oh, I see.
Right. So this is what he calls it, the deep church, because we have something called a deep state.
It coincides with the deep state, right?
Yeah. So I guess it was a quite fitting term to use. So even in the Catholic Church, there's a split between the forces of good and the forces of evil.
Sure.
And basically what these guys are doing is that they are trying to basically usher in this new world order, which is not what a lot of people understand what it would look like. I mean, what I would say is that I use a lot of scripture to confirm the things that I see and I talk about. And in Abu Dhabi, we have the three Abrahamic religions having their places of worship on one plot of land. And that is for the Jews, the Muslims, and the Christians.
Mm-hmm.
And even the Pope and has said that there will be a new religion, a one world religion. And my understanding is that those three religions are all actually have been captured, and they will fuse, they will merge into one. So a lot of the Muslimin, most of the Jews, most of the Christians, on the layman level, they have a very just understanding of what they read, but they don't understand profoundly what is really happening. And they are all going to be used as cannon fodder, and they will be used as just guinea pigs to usher in this new world, because as we can see that things are moving very quickly. We are having talk of universal basic income. We're having talk, which will be the opening the door to the one world currency, which will be in the form of a digital central bank currency, which will be programmable. It will be able to track, trace, and database your every move. And the whole jabs pandemic, as I call it, was only the beginning of what was to come. And this is where they talk about the mark of the beast. Now,
right. It was like a test run to see how many people would comply in taking the future mark of the beast.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what it is now is that because powers that shouldn't be have been basically planning this for millennium. This is not something that is just thought up maybe a few hundred years.
Yeah, it's a long game. It's a long game.
Yes, because like we spoke about in our first podcast where we talked about the Anunnaki and stuff. These guys, from what I have read and researched, are the owners of this planet. They own it lock, stock, and barrel. And they do that through their bloodlines, which are the principalities, the heads of state, the central bankers. They're all in this clique because, as I said in our first podcast, the kingship was lowered from heaven to earth.
Right.
And they are the ones that taught us these forms of government. They taught us about money. And this is why, like,
maritime laws, enslavement.
Absolutely. And this is why, like, a lot of people, they don't understand that we have, I call them the three religions, the three main religions, which is the religion of money, the religion of government, and organized religion. And all three of these basically lead back to the Vatican. And this is why the Vatican has a lot. I think they said that if you all the underground chambers would have a length of, I think, 50 miles long from memory. All of these are artifacts, because they're all like, in a very close corner, but they're all like snaked around, So if you stretch them all out, all the information, they have artifacts, books, everything. I think they said it would be like 50 miles long. And when you read the Book of Enoch talks about all sin and blame should be placed on Azazel. And Azazel, it appears to is the prince of this world. He also has another title that he goes by called Gadreel, Gadreel. Now, if you take off the Reel, you're left with Gad. Gad sounds very, very close to God.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how they kind of like usurp, meanings of words and titles, and just play a little bit of jiggery pokery, and get us to worship them.
This is why I do not like giving. I don't even like calling God. I call him Creator.
Yeah, I say the Mother, Father, God.
Yeah, I don't like using names because I don't want to be incorrect.
Well, this is why I say like the Mother, Father, God, universal consciousness, the eternal spirit. Whatever word you want to use, because you are right. Because there's a book called this book. I can't remember which book in the Bible this book I'm going to call references, but it is definitely referenced in the Bible, but more in the Torah because it's in Hebrew, right? And it's called the Wars of the Lord, or the Wars of Yahweh, or the Wars of Jehovah. And in this book, it shows clearly that they invented these terms in order to put us in mental slavery. So, excuse me. So basically, it says that they invented the term Lord God, and God in order to usurp the universal, the Great Spirit. Because in that book, they don't use the word God for what we consider as God. They use the term the Great Spirit. And the people that are close to the Great Spirit, they call the theist. And basically, they sat down and they plotted how they could try to trick and corral us into worshiping them. And this is where these titles came from, because Lord means master, right? Now, in the UK, we have something called the House of Lords. We have people that are called Lord this. Well, I am actually a Lord. I actually just bought the title Lord because I bought a plot of land in Scotland.
No shit.
Yeah, a 1 meter square.
Lord Cave.
Yeah, for real. Because we're using the Scottish law, and it says that landowners can be have the title Lord. You just have to pay a few bucks for it. And I'm waiting for the paperwork to come in the mail. But yes, I can actually use that to put on my passport and put on other formal documents to say that I am Lord Cave,
That's awesome.
I know, it's wicked.
So when you go to the airport, you'd be like, bow before Lord Cave.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I just thought it would be a bit of a fun thing to do.
How much land is it? Is it like how much acreage?
Nah, it's a meter square.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just to get the title, because
okay.
There's a statute in Scotland that allows landowners to adopt the title Lord, because, as I said, Lord just means master, right?
Right.
And what they did is that in creating these words, they have usurped and sidestepped the Great Spirit. And even in that same book, the people that you would say are equivalent to people of Christ consciousness, the theists, they said that no matter how much you oppress the theists, no matter what you do, take away from them or be hard with them, they will not leave the Great Spirit. And so what they do is they just subjugated them, right? And they sat down. I think it was two of them that sat down and they worked out the blueprint on how they could usurp the truth and use trickery and jiggery pokery, playing with words and names and stuff. Like I said, so when you see in the Bible, especially Old Testament, Lord God, or God, most likely that is not the Great Spirit, right?
Yeah.
In fact, there is there's a story in the Old Testament that is the exact same story. One is in 2 Samuel, and the next one is in 2 Corinthians, I think. I can actually bring up the exact
Oh,
thing
so
here
one
now.
from the Old Testament, one from the New Testament.
Actually, I can, while we're talking here, I can
Well,
bring it
Samuel
up.
in the Torah, and Corinthians is in the New Testament.
Okay, so I can actually tell you exactly where it is because I actually sent it to my mother and my actual mate. So it's Second
This
Samuel.
goes back to determining the actual attributes of God, like we discussed
Absolutely.
in the first show. Yeah.
Absolutely. So it is 2 Samuel 24 verse 1, chapter 24 verse 1, and the next one is 1 Chronicles chapter 21 verse 1. And in one of them it says, again the anger of the Lord, and Lord is in capital letters, all caps, was kindled against Israel, and he incited David against them, saying, go number Israel and Judah. Now, the reason why he told him to do that is that is to do a census, and the purposes of census is for taxation. And taxation, as we know, is a form of theft.
Right.
Theft,
which is not God.
Correct, right?
Not the Spirit.
Right. And this is 2 Samuel chapter 21 verse 1. I remember I said, and again the anger of the Lord. Now, first thing first, the anger. No, God
is
wouldn't
not
get correct. Now listen to this. In 1 Chronicles chapter 21 verse 1, it says, then Satan stood against Israel and incited David to number Israel. This is
pointing out exactly who was there in Chronicles.
Correct. So you see the same story, but just in different books. And I actually looked at it in Spanish, and it is the exact same translation. The exact same. So I wanted to see if it was only in the English version, but I looked it up in Spanish, and it's exactly the same. So I have no doubt that it is in all the other languages as well. Now, I brought that up to say that term Lord was invented by them, right? And in this situation, that Lord, Master, was Enlil, right? And we know that Enlil is Yahweh. He is Jehovah. He's El Shaddai. And he is the one that is the God of the Jews. Now, when he also, when you read in 2 Samuel, when you read further down, it's so mad because you would think that this God is, God, quotation marks, is schizophrenic, because after David went and took the census, he further down in the passage, it comes back and he said that he was sorry that he went and numbered the people and asked God for forgiveness. So when you read it, you would think, but God told him to go and number the people. But what they do know is that because they are the ones that wrote the Bible, and they're the ones that created this term Lord, they can interchange to Lord with God to make it look like it's the same. But in this situation, when they said God, it was actually the Great Spirit, because he realized that he was tricked, right?
Yeah.
So it's very
causes confusion.
Correct. And it was written like that on purpose, because the Bible was not meant to inform, it was created to deceive. But at the same time, while there is a lot of deception, there is a lot of information that is good. You just have to look at the attributes and be able to pick out the nuggets that make sense. And that
Right.
basically, when Christ said that tree will bear no fruit, we know that the tree refers to a person, right? So that's why he said you look at the fruit of the tree, you look at the attributes of the person, and in this case, you would look at the attributes of God. So
Sure.
I always ask, which God? Because
Yeah.
as we said in our first podcast, there's more than one God, right?
There's multiple. Yeah.
Now, listen to this. This is going
There's
to rock
also
your...
Baal, and there's also Beelzebub, and all those fucking assholes in there.
Well, I'm very glad you brought in Beelzebub, because this one is going to rock your socks.
Okay.
So you know that we just had a little bit of a controversy with Balenciaga.
Baal and Siaga, yes.
So when you actually put in, when you separate Balenciaga and you put the spelling of Baal with two A's, Balen, so Baal, NC, ENCI, and then Aga, it means Baal is king. And we know that
Right.
Baal is Marduk. So the thing is that what we have is, the best way to describe it is an international criminal cartel syndicate which is fighting against themselves to win us and the earth as their prize. And Baal, Beelzebub, Marduk, he's also known as Moloch. He is actually the one that is the owner. He's the controller of this planet right now. This is why the Bible is called by Baal, by Baal. He was instrumental in writing the book. So this is why you have Jews and you have Talmudic Jews. The Jews, which are just like the normal Jews, they're the ones that worship Enlil, Yahweh, Jehovah. But the Talmudic Jews, they worship Marduk, right? This is why we know that the Talmud was actually, I won't say written because it was an oral tradition, but it was birthed in Babylon, and Marduk was the chief god in Babylon, right? So you can see that there's not just one faction here, and then you go over to Islam, and then Islam now is the exact same thing, because their texts are just as bad. Like, I mean, there's one text here. I give people the receipts. It's Sahih Muslim.
And again, it's like all holy books. There's truth and lies in each one, right?
Absolutely.
People, right?
Absolutely.
It confuse them. Yeah.
The thing is, Islam is the absolute worst religion on planet Earth. Like, we can criticize all other religions, but Islam is the absolute worst. There's a guy on YouTube. I don't know if he's still there now because there's so much censorship. Bill Warner, and he has a channel called Political Islam, and he's a scientist. So he sat down and he went through the entire Quran and looked at verses that are negative or bloodshed or anything that's just not positive. And I think from memory is like high 60%.
Dashing babies' heads upon the rocks.
Pardon?
Like dashing babies' heads against the rocks.
That equivalent.
Yeah,
That
that's
equivalent.
when I first got into the Bible and stuff like that. People were criticizing me. They were saying, "Oh, so you believe in a God that dashes kids' heads against rocks?" And I didn't know what to say, because I didn't know the attributes of God at the time.
This is the thing. So I'll just read a few receipts here and tell people where to look to go and find these things, because these are all the books, right? Because we didn't touch on Islam, but I'm very well versed in Islam as well. So we have a lot. I think from memory, Bill Warner said it was like 65% or were just negative verses. You know what I mean? 65%.
Yeah. That's a lot of confusion.
Yeah, absolutely. So listen to this one. Sahih Muslim 126. And I quote, I have been commanded to fight the people until they say there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. So if he's been commanded to fight, now this is what people don't understand. So even this is in the Christian and the Jewish text. Why God, who's omnipotent, omnipresent, and all powerful, would need mere mortals to go and fight on his behalf?
Exactly.
Right? There's no logic there, right?
Yeah.
So
and not to mention kill.
Exactly, right?
When it says thou shalt not kill.
This is it, right? And there's another verse in there that he talks about he would like to be a martyr. This is a verse that is in the hadith, and it says that he would basically like to be martyred, come back to life, and be martyred again, and come back to life and be martyred again. Does that sound like a positive attribute for a god?
Right? Not at all. Yeah.
Exactly. So people then even in the Bible, there's rape in Deuteronomy chapter 20 verse 1 to 14, right?
Yep.
There's sex slaves in Exodus 21 chapter verse 7 to 11, right? So there's a lot. Then you have like verses like, your wives are places for sowing seed whenever and however you wish. This is in the Quran, chapter 2, verse 223. So we have verses like these. Yeah, you know what I mean? It says you can go as you wish, whenever and however you wish, right? Then there's even worse things like this, where I think someone asked Muhammad, how would you know if you have your consent from woman? And he said, a woman's silence confirms her consent. I mean, he also has sex with a prepubescent girl. You know what I mean? He married her at 6 and had sex with her when she was 9, right? So there's a lot of like,
peace be upon him.
Yeah, you know what I mean? There's a lot of bad stuff in all of these books, right?
Yeah, dude, the Talmud has that one description of how Jesus is in hell boiling in a hot pot of excrement.
Oh, mate, I got some Talmudic quotes here for you, man. That again, talks off. Let me bring that up now, because I wasn't really gonna talk about this, but it just like flowed, right? And it's just terrible stuff, man. You know what I mean? It's just terrible stuff. So Sanhedrin 59a. Murdering Goyim is like murdering a wild, like killing. Murdering Goyim is like killing a wild animal. So basically, all non-Jews are like wild animals.
Yeah.
Goyim. So we're animals, right? So listen to this. Yab Hamoth 11b. Sexual intercourse of a girl is permitted if she is 3 years of age.
Holy shit.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? This is like this is mad stuff, right? Abodaha Zara 26b. Even the best of Gentiles should be killed, right? So I have pointed out the 3 Abrahamic religions, all with terrible stuff in it, right?
Yeah.
So I always say that religion is just like a cult, right? And in Islam's case, it's a death cult. Now, Christianity was a death cult before until the Reformation, but they're all bad, man. They're all bad.
It's still a cult.
It's still a cult, right?
Yeah. And for the record, Cartel, you probably know by now already, but I do not belong to any established church. I don't go to church. I also had somebody ask me today about my podcast and what I believe in, and he asked me, so what do you believe in then? Like what religion do you follow? I said I don't follow any religion, but I am a Christ follower. And he said, okay, so like Orthodox and I said, no, none of that. It's like people can't get it into their head that if you're a Christ follower, you must be a Christian or you must be part of a church or this and that. You know what I mean?
Well, the thing is, right, is that to be a quotation marks Christian today, you have to ignore every single thing that Christ said, right? And Christ never, ever, ever preached a religion.
Right.
He taught basically two things: love your God with all your mind, your heart, and your soul, and love your neighbor as you love yourself, right?
Yeah.
Basically, all he did is he preached love,
Yep.
right? Love is the answer. But this is why the system that we live in and in religion teaches fear and hatred.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got one in the head of the Jews, we the Goyim deserve to be murdered. In the head of the Muslims, they believe that they've been commanded to fight the non-believers until we
Mm-hmm.
submit.
Mm-hmm.
And then Christianity had its phase of conquest and trying to save the savages when we had colonization. So all three of these have the exact same energy and consciousness, which is hate, right? And it's very sad to see, but you see what has happened is that they've indoctrinated us to hate ourselves first. Because this is why I tell people all the time, you can't give someone something that you don't already have.
Precisely.
So if you hate yourself, it is impossible with a capital I, capital M, for you to love another person because you don't already have love in you, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if all you have is hate means that you're coming from a place of fear. Coming from a place of fear is a negative energy and emotion. So you can't come from a place of negativity and expect to produce a positive result. It just
Mm-hmm.
can't happen. It is a 100% failure rate. And I sometimes have to sit down and ask myself, because I'm like everybody, I'm human, and I get moments where I feel a bit down, and I would allow
Sure.
negative thoughts to take over. But I snap out of it a lot faster than I used to, and this is
Me
something
too.
and this is a conversation I have myself every week. Now, I know that if I continue thinking about this particular thing or like in this way, I have a 100% failure rate that I will feel worse. Now, if I stop thinking about that, because in most cases it is beyond my control, I have a chance that I can allow love to come in. Because energy is neither created nor destroyed, it just is. And what you can do is shift energy. You can't destroy it, but you can just shift it and move it. So if you remove love from yourself and your consciousness, you will allow fear, negativity, and hate to replace it. So in order to allow love to come back in, you have to work on yourself by overcoming your fears and your traumas. Because if you don't, everything in this system is on a hate, negative, guilt system. And fear. If you don't pay taxes, the government is going to show up with guns at your door and demand its pound of flesh.
Yeah.
Religion tells you if you don't do this thing, you're going to live in hell forever and you're going to be burning in hellfire. Okay. And then if you don't have money, right, it means you won't be able to do anything and you would not have a good life. So the fear of not having money is what drives people to commit acts of violence, do prostitution, sell hard drugs, you know what I mean? Kill people, do bad things,
Just
So
promote more fear and hate.
correct. It all
A
comes
never-ending
from
cycle of fear and hate.
yes, it all comes from a consciousness of lack of mentality and thinking that there is separation from God, the Great Spirit, universal consciousness, whatever word you want to use. It's the same thing, right? It is through that consciousness of lack and separation that we believe that we are just these little, small, measly humans. But in reality, we humans are masters of the universe because Hugh means light and man, because you're a man, right? So human being means light being, right? Light man
Oh,
being.
I'm surprised that the word human is still able to describe who we are. They haven't captured that word yet, you know?
Well, that is why there's the agenda to one, with these jabs, because you're technically not human anymore once you take them. Two,
Mhm. I
you
hate that.
will become cyborgs because you'll be merging with AI and machines. You would literally
Yep.
have like
Through
in the
graphene oxide.
yeah, you will become a cyborg, right? So then you won't be a human being anymore. So they're definitely working on that. That's for sure. And what they're
Yeah.
doing is they're doing it through various forms of religion, because I said that there are mainly three religions, right? Religion of money, religion of government, and the religion of organized religion. Now, the word religion comes from the Latin word called religare, which means to hold or to bind, right? And what
Oh.
religion does is that it holds and binds the minds of its followers. Just take this pandemic. No matter how much evidence you show someone, they will absolutely deny it because they are in the cult of the pandemic, right?
Right.
There are people that up to this day are still wearing masks,
Yep. I
right?
see it every day.
Dude, I'm going to give you a story here, right? A few
The guy
months
that
ago,
asked me today at work about what I told you, that story I just told you about how, like, what's your religion, this and that, he was wearing a mask while he was talking to me. And his fucking glasses were fogging up. I'm like, how can you see with your glasses on and they're fogging up because you're wearing a mask?
why am I not surprised? Dude,
Oh, it's crazy.
I have a friend, right? She's a nice girl. We went for coffee at time. This was like early in the year. This was like probably January. And I was telling her basically this whole thing is rubbish, right? I
Yeah.
explained to her what masks do. I said to her, I gave her some evidence in the sense that I used to be a civil engineer and a tunnel engineer. And when we work in confined spaces, which a tunnel is classified as, you have to pump air from the surface into the tunnel because we use oxygen meters in there. And
Okay.
when the oxygen level, because normal air is between 19 to 21% oxygen, right?
You got
And
science,
when,
folks. Real science.
yeah, and when the oxygen meter goes below 17%, you have to vacate the tunnel because at that point you can
You're breathing in your own carbon dioxide.
not only that, you can actually pass out for continual exposure, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could, because obviously we have like a safe limit, like below, if you go when you're going into 16 or 15, that's like extremely dangerous, right? No, I said to her that I saw 3 tests that were done with 3 different people using the same oxygen meter and people and putting a tube on the end and sticking it underneath a mask that was being worn. And in all 3 situations, the level of oxygen was between 16 and 17%, right? Now, when you're working, and this is an international code, right, for tunneling and confined space. If you are below 17, you have to vacate the space, because if someone dies in that space, the company will get sued and people can go to jail.
Sure.
So why would you willingly wear something on your face that replicates the same environment as a confined space, and you know what I mean, it can be very dangerous to health because it causes brain cells to die, etc. This is why people that wear masks long term will continue to wear masks, because they're actually killing their brain cells.
Oh,
So
fuck.
yeah, real talk. I explained all of this to her. She nodded her head. She says, yeah, makes sense. When we got up from having the tea, because she had coffee, I had tea,
She put her mask right back.
she put back on her mask the same
Yeah.
exact way. I walked out without the mask, because that was the time still when they were still pushing mad for masks and stuff.
Sure.
I just used to put it under my beard as a beard warmer, right? Just to yeah. I went to get in, I will put it on properly, and as soon as I'm in, beard warmer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I explained all of this to her, and bless her, she got back up and put back on her mask the exact same day. I walked out of there without a mask, right? And I was just like shocked. I was like, damn, I just explained to her everything, you know? And she still did the exact same thing that I was telling her that she shouldn't do. So my point is that everyone is in a religion in some form.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, the things that they're getting us to do to ourselves is making us even more and more stupid.
Yeah.
And this is why the Son of Man, which is us, we need to rise because the time is near. And we don't know the time or the hour, but we know that the signs are here. And
Well,
this is what I tell people all the time.
Yeah, I definitely feel that one passage in the Bible that says Satan knows his time is short. Therefore, he's ramping up what he can do to us light beings quicker and quicker in order to get us to comply with the arrival of the Antichrist.
Yes, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I was talking about in Abu Dhabi where they have the 3 houses of worship for these 3 Abrahamic religions. At the very high levels of each of these religions, they know that they worship Satan. They know. But at the lower levels, people don't know. So what's going to happen is that they're going to try to usher in their God, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would say that it most likely will be Marduk because he seems to be the one that has the most control and influence on Earth now.
He wouldn't come with that name, though.
No, he will come with a new name.
Yeah, he would come probably with the last name like Ben David or something like that.
Something, man. It can be something that's going to look unifying, right? Because all 3 religions are going to telling us, oh, well, you know what I mean? For the sake of humanity and coming us together as one, we worship one God because all the God is the same. But nah. When you look at these texts, the gods used to walk amongst man. Excuse me. And basically, that time is going to come back again. I have a very, very high confidence that we will see in some time in the future, not so far away, spaceships, very, very tall beings.
Mm-hmm.
We will see things that are just not of this world. And I do believe that, you know, people that are not prepared for these things, it will shatter their mind, right?
There's also a passage in the Bible that says men will see things where their hearts will fail them or something like that.
Absolutely. That is exactly the passage.
Yeah.
And some people...
if you're not prepared for it. Right?
Well, yeah, because you need to do the work on yourself, you know? And all religions will... their followers, their minds will be blown. Their hearts will be crushed. Mm-hmm. Because according to all mainstream religions, aliens don't exist.
Sure.
So can you imagine you're seeing a 20-foot or 30-foot tall being, some sort of a spaceship just hovering in the sky? Because, you know what I mean, if you watch things like Gaia and Secure Team 10 on YouTube, disclosure has already been made. It's just that people have not just woken up to that fact yet, you know?
Sure. Like, what else do we need to disclose aside from them showing themselves at this point?
But this is the thing, even if they show themselves, a lot of people will still not believe, you know?
Yeah.
Because, like I said, it doesn't matter right now how much information or how much evidence you show someone. Their minds are split. So because the cognitive dissonance is very, very strong, they will deny it. And this
Mhm.
is why I can't remember how the passage goes, but it says, shame on those who have been shown and basically negate it, avoid it, and bury their head in the sand. You
Yeah.
know, and that's what's going to happen in the great future, because we're being slow walked and conditioned to have no connection with God at all, right? And this has been something that they've been planning for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. This is why scripture says that there's nothing new under the sun,
Yeah.
because we've had many, many resets. But
Yeah.
according to scripture, this is the final one. There will be no more after this, because honestly, dude, I don't want to come back and repeat this.
No.
The way we live now, this is not living. This is slow torture, man. You know?
Yeah. I was listening to I've been listening to a lot of Iron Maiden lately, the band Iron Maiden.
Okay.
And there's this one song I was listening to today where the character from the song, which is what Bruce Dickinson was singing as the character, saying like, should I just die and come back, and then die and come back, and then die and come back, and then die and come back through reincarnation? Or is there a way to end this game? It's a trip, man. And when I was like, holy shit. I don't want to keep coming back, man. I want to go to quote unquote heaven, whatever that is. Like and hell would be the complete absence of God and love, right? And truth.
Basically.
Yeah. I just don't want to keep coming back. I just want to go where my spirit came from and stay there for eternity.
The thing is that what we need to understand is that we are immortal. The body can die, but consciousness cannot die. We cannot actually die, right? And what is used to control us is fear. We live in a fear, guilt-based matrix. And when you understand that, you realize that everything is built on fear. Fear means false evidence appearing real. Fear is, for the most part, fear is not real. What it is that we think and perceive it to be real. So because we are co-creators and we are a fractal of God, so we have the exact same powers, we create the fear to be real. Everything starts in the mind. The all is mind and the universe is mental. This is what Hermes Trismegistus put in the Kabbalion. As above, so below. And what people need to understand is that whatever is going on here is going on in the higher realms as well. Because you can't have peace and bliss here and war in the heavens. When they say heavens, I just mean higher levels of consciousness, the sky, you know what I mean? Because what we perceive as heaven is not really, really heaven. Heaven is not one of these places that's just like this magical place. It appears to be different levels of consciousness and different realms. And the higher you go, the more spiritual they become and the more energetic they become.
Right.
Here is the lowest level of living, right? The absolute lowest level. And what's going to happen is that until we start to work on ourselves, we start to heal our fears and traumas, because we all have those, and then we have loads and loads of them. But until we actively start and work on them, we will continue to condemn ourselves and keep lowering our vibration. This is why Christ said in the high priestly prayer, for I am in you and you are me. Actually, I can bring out the proper thing here, because I like to give people the receipts, man. You know?
Sure.
because the high priestly prayer is very, very. So he says here, this is what Christ says. He says, sanctify them in the truth. Your word is truth. As you sent me in the world, so I have sent them, which is us, in the world. And for their sake, I consecrate myself, that they, us, also be sanctified in the truth. I do not ask for these only, but also for those who believe in me through their word, because your word casts spells. Your word is what creates the reality as well. Because when you
Right.
hear, if you talk negatively about yourself, you hear it, you believe it, you will self-sabotage to have a confirmation bias. So I go on. He says, I do not ask these only. I do not ask for these only, but also for those who believe in me through their word, that they, us, may all be one, just as you, Father, are in me, and I am in you, that they, us, also be in us, so that the world may believe that you have sent me. The glory that you have given me, I have given to them, that they, us, may be one as we are one. I in them, you in me, that they may be perfectly one. So that is what I call the high priestly prayer. Christ said it 3 times, right? Just in different ways. That we are in the Father in us, and we are in one, right?
Just like Christ.
Exactly. Because you got to think of Christ as like a big brother that just trying to teach you, hey, Todd, well, you know what I mean? You do this and you can become your perfected self like me, right? Because even he said that they be perfectly one. And that is where you would become both male and female. Because in the beginning, we had no gender, we had no sex, we were androgynous. We were both male and female.
Yeah.
So when I say male and female, I don't mean in terms of genitalia or sex. I mean in terms of energy, because everything is energy.
Yeah.
So masculine energy is very orderly, strong, organized, is very structured, and it loves like rules and order. Feminine energy is more nurturing, kind, compassionate, and loving, right? Now, what we need to do is become both male and female so that we have order, logic, structure, but then we have the loving energy of the feminine to balance that order. Because what can happen is that too much male energy can become oppressive. It needs the feminine energy to balance it.
This is why feminism fucking sucks.
Well, feminism just means hatred of men. That's basically just what it means, right?
The actual feminism way of thinking, because it's just another agenda, right?
Yeah, look at the attributes. It's very anti-man, you know?
Yeah. And they want equal rights, but at the same time, they're willing to put men down and hate them, right? It's like, it doesn't work that way, dude.
Feminism is a bit strange because in history, the men are the ones that fought wars, and the men are the ones that did the most difficult jobs, right? Now, it's not that women can't do those jobs, but men are more suited because we're physically stronger to fight wars and to do hard jobs like being a mechanic, being a welder, maintaining infrastructure and stuff. Now, the problem that you have...
Well, some women can do that, though.
But this is it. I don't have a problem with women doing that, but it's not their default nature, right?
Sure.
It's like women are better suited to be nurses than men because of the nurturing, loving energy that they have.
Right.
Men, yes, we can be nurses, but it's not our default. You understand?
Yeah.
So when you look at it, men and women are built differently, and they have different qualities and different strengths and different weaknesses.
You can still be a male nurse and still be an alpha male, though, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You can look. You could still be a construction worker as a woman, lift concrete blocks, cast concrete. You know, what I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, right?
yeah.
What I'm saying is that most women would not gravitate to that.
Sure,
Just like most men would
but
not
there's nothing
gravitate to
wrong with
being a
it.
nurse. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, right?
Yeah,
What we have is
you don't
that
have to
we have
call a male a fucking fag because he's a nurse.
absolutely. But
Yeah,
what we have is that we're trying the minority of people that would like those things, they're trying to indoctrinate everyone that should be the rule and not the exception, right?
right.
Because you have men that are a little bit more feminine, you have women that are a little bit more masculine. Those are the exception and not the rules, right?
Sure,
But in trying to make that the rule, it means you're reversing the natural gender rules,
right.
right?
Which is what's happening all over right now. Well,
Correct.
mainly the U.S., but globally.
Mainly the West, right? So what is happening is that we are creating a false reality of equality because men and women can never be equal. Women can always give babies, and men will always have the seed to produce the baby.
Right. We don't have butt babies. Let's make that clear.
Right. Men don't have uteruses or fallopian tubes.
Or
Women don't
wombs,
produce or wombs. Women don't produce semen. So what they've done is that they've tricked us with the word. This is why you need to look at the etymology of the words. This is why I think, to be fair, I think English has been created to make us dumber, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they hide a lot of truth in the meanings of the words, right? So when you look at the etymology of equality, men and women can never be equal. Now, what I tend to use is I use the word fair, right? Because fair means that I can treat you as a woman fairly. I can treat a man fairly. I don't have to treat you equally because it's like a quagmire. Because what
Sure.
they would do is that they would say, well, I need to be treated equally. Excuse me. But yes, I can treat you fairly, right? But then when you use the word equally, then you can come to the side and say what men and women should be equal. How can we be equal? Men will always be stronger than women. Always.
It's a pipe dream.
Correct. So even in the words they use, they dumb us down and make us stupid. So that's why I never use the word that men and women are equal. I say that men and women should treat each other fairly, because fairly means then that you can treat the person the way you treat yourself.
Sure.
And remember, you can't give someone something that you don't already have. So if you don't treat yourself fairly, how can you treat someone else fairly?
Yeah.
It's impossible, right?
And it doesn't mean that if you tend to have more female tendencies when you're male, doesn't mean you have to chop off your dick.
But this is it, right? And what they've done,
if you're a woman.
You know, I've always wondered, how does that work? Do they actually get fake penises?
I don't know.
Yeah, that was always like a bit, because I never delved in it because it was never something that interests me, you know. But
did you hear about the famous Russian doctor who does male to female transitioning? He's a surgeon.
No, but I heard that they pull the belly inside out, no, outside in, to create a I guess a channel.
Yeah, but the Russian doctor's name that does these surgeries, guess what his name is? Dr. Kachikakov.
Oh my god.
That was just a joke, yeah. I had to say it. Since we're on the topic, I had to say it.
But it would surprise me if it were true, because look, we need to be careful with the words that we use.
Definitely.
Because our words cast spells, and our words are what create the reality. Because Whenever you speak to yourself, well, it first starts in your thoughts, yes. But when you say things badly about yourself, you hear it.
And all intention is brought through language, right?
Correct.
So if you slam somebody through your language, then you better make sure that your intention is in the right place.
And the thing is, right, is that when you
Don't
slam
want to
someone,
death upon people, even if you're joking. Or some people would. I had somebody tell me the other day, I wish this person would just fucking get cancer. And I'm like, dude, be careful what you're saying, man. You know? That's just going out into the ether.
This is the thing that a lot of people don't realize. Judge not, lest ye be judged. And
That's
when you
right.
judge others, you are really judging yourself. Because
And
I
it will
am
be
you
brought to you
and you are
tenfold.
me. Correct. I am you and you are me. Because
Yep.
like Christ said, we are one. So when you treat people harshly, when you say bad things to people, you're actually saying it to yourself. This is what a lot of people don't realize in the world today. The world is a manifestation of a collection of thoughts that we all have. And if we all think in negative ways or in fear through trauma, it means that we will manifest that reality, which is why we had lockdowns, which is all these people are just a reflection of ourselves, because we want someone to tell us what to do. We want someone to be our Lord, master,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
instead of being the master of ourselves, because people don't want to take responsibility, right? This is one of the biggest problems we have. If you take responsibility for yourself and what you say and what you think, you will go a very long way in actually living the life that you want. Because if you thinking negatively has a 100% production of something negative. It is impossible to come from a negative place and produce a positive result.
Right.
Now, on the flip side, when you think positively, you give your science the ability to create the possibility to have a positive outcome. It won't come immediately, because if everything, I have to admit this to myself, because sometimes I wonder, like, oh gosh, man, how long is it going to take, But then I always have to say, but if it were to be very, very easy, then you wouldn't value it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to have some sort of a struggle, some sort of a pain, some sort of a difficulty, some sort of a challenge to go through, because when you overcome it, then you've truly grown. You can appreciate what you have. But if you just get given everything easy peasy, you will never value it. You will never know what is struggle. You cannot know what love is unless you actually had pure pain.
Well,
You can't actually.
Let's look at trust fund kids, for example. I've met a trust fund kid who, and he's just very lackadaisical. He knows that he's going to get a shit ton of money when his dad dies. So why the fuck does he have to do anything to struggle to make anything for himself?
But this is it, right? And this is the way the universe works. The universe rewards those that are brave, takes action, commits, and works hard. And as they say, easy come, easy go. So most of these trust fund kids and people that come from wealthy families, not all of them, but there's a high percentage of them that, one, they're very arrogant people and they believe that they're better than anyone else.
Actually, to be honest, the one trust fund kid that I met, he was really super sweet guy.
Well, like I said, most, not all of them. There's some that are
super sweet, very, very inquisitive about other people's lives. Like, how are you, man? Like, everything okay? Very sweet guy. But also didn't give a shit about making his life anything, because he knew that he was going to be rich one day if his dad died. And his dad was one miserable fucking prick. Because he was making money all the time, and this guy was so bad, man. so mean and cold, but his son was complete opposite.
But this is the thing. Like, money should just be seen as a tool, and really for what it is just energy. Energy allows you to do certain things in your life to make your life easier or more
Yeah.
comfortable. But unfortunately, money corrupts. And this is why we call money Babylonian magic,
Yeah.
because it was invented in Babylon under Marduk, right?
Right.
And he basically used it to help to create a system of a lack of separation. Because if you don't have money, you get stressed, you can't eat, you can't live, you can't do anything. So you will do anything for this money. This is why money is one of the biggest reasons why other people kill, why people kill people.
And marriages fall apart.
Yeah, I think they said something like 70% of marriages fall apart because of money. Some mad statistic like that. Now look at the drug game. In the drug game, if you don't worship money in the sense that you don't let it take over your life, so you don't cheat and steal, for the most part, you will be okay. But those that want it so much that they want to go and kill for it, then it shows you then that it just takes over, right?
And not only directly kill Todd, but also, dealing drugs to people and potentially killing them from overdoses, and also people who sell their souls to the system and do black magic rituals. Let's say, like, this guy comes up to you and he says, take this red coin, but if you take the, and you will be rich, but if you take this red coin, somebody else is going to die. You won't know who it is. You don't know how it will happen, but there will be a sacrifice for this, for you having a better life. And most people will be like, okay.
Yes, this is the sad reality, because you don't get something for nothing. And money is used to keep us in bondage and in mental slavery, because the way they've set up the system, they've created an environment where you just only have enough in order to do the basics. And because of that, you are constantly chasing more and more money. This is why people talk about, the mark, but that it could be written on your forehead. But in some sense, we already have the mark, all of us, because for a lot of people, money is the thing that we study the most, right? Is the thing that makes most people more stressed. And if it's on your thoughts all the time, is on your mind, you can say symbolically, it's written on you, right?
Yeah.
Now, when you put a human being in a state of stress with money, what it means is that they don't have time to work on themselves. They don't have time to read books. They don't have time to meditate. They don't have time to go inside and work on themselves.
Gain more knowledge.
There's just no time, because they're just hustling for money. Then you got a family.
What did our good God say in the Bible too? The good God, he said, "My people will perish for lack of knowledge."
Yep. Christ said, "For my people suffer from the lack of knowledge."
Yep. And not only suffer, but they will perish.
Yeah. And this system is by design, because if you make people just think about money all the time and just hustling, they neglect themselves. They can neglect their family, their partners, etc.
Yep.
And what's going to happen is that it becomes your God, right? it becomes your god. And in
Absolutely.
in some respects, many people today worship money. They may not
God.
uh-huh. They may not openly or knowingly know, but they do. And I have heard many stories of people that have done some really adventurous things, like travel the world with little to no money, and they've all said that they just always had enough. They would do this little odd job, do this favor for someone, do this, do that, and they would just have exactly enough. And this is one of the things that I've been learning this year is to just let go. Just
Dude,
let go of the
tell you,
thought.
I don't have a lot of money, right? I have enough to get by, and I have a little padding. I have a little bit of a cushion in case of emergency, and I'm fucking happy. I don't need a lot of money to be happy. I have that
This is
fire inside that keeps me going to do this podcast, to get these very important discussions to go out there. If I make money from it or not, that's not my goal. It would be nice, but it's not my goal. I do it for the pure passion and the fire inside of me.
but this is the thing, right? A lot of this is what I'm going to share is a consciousness and a distinction that most humans fail to recognize. If you want to be truly rich, truly abundant, you need to give first.
Yeah.
We always are looking to take and exploit. But when you read like um the books of like Saint Germain, he says clearly that if you give more, the universe will give you more than you had.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you understand this concept and logic, you want to give more and more and more. And then what's gonna happen is that as you keep giving more, you can keep getting more to the point where you can be like just trying to find out how can I give more? I've already given and there's no one to give, right? But your intention must be to give because this is what I tell girls sometimes. I says I cannot demand from you to treat me well. I need to treat you well first
Mm-hmm.
because I can't demand something of you that I don't already give.
Right.
That is being hypocritical. I'm
Yeah.
demanding you give me something, but then I'm waiting for you to give me something back. No,
Right.
I'll give you first. If I see that you're not replicating or reciprocating,
Yeah.
then I would stop giving because I'm not an idiot where I'm just going to keep giving and don't receive anything.
Yeah. You can't be
But
a simp, right?
that's it, yeah. But you must give first. You must give first because I was talking to this girl here recently, and she was traveling, and I cooked my food on the Sunday, so I know that because she's a gym girl like me, so I knew that for us gym people, food is always the thing. So I knew that because she was coming home late, she would literally have no time to cook and all that stuff. So I told her, hey, don't worry, I'll just put in some extra in the pot and I'll give you some that when you come in Sunday night, you can carry to work Monday and it'll give you a chance then Monday evening you could catch back up. She looked at me like I was mad. She said, but you don't really know me. What would you do? I said, but it doesn't cost me anything to be nice to you.
Sure.
You know, I can't demand you treat me nice or well if I'm not prepared to offer it first. Now, if I see you're not reciprocating, then obviously you withdraw. But
Exactly.
you must give first. It's not that you give to get, but what will happen is that if you don't give, you can never receive. And one of my mentors, he's very, very wealthy. And he said to me that when you become very rich, because he's a multimillionaire, he says that you must be always be willing to help someone if they want help, right? Now, is a thin line between people that want to take advantage of you or people that genuinely, honestly, sincerely want help.
Sure.
And he said to me is that when you start to become a multimillionaire, you realize that you because you tapped into something, you must keep giving without expecting. And he says that when you do that, the universe always will give you the right contacts, always will give you the right deals, always put you in a situation where you can increase your wealth, but it starts with you giving first. I recently,
That's like that old saying, it takes money to make money.
I and I recently went to London on holiday, and as I was coming out the supermarket, this guy, he came up to me and he wanted me to he wanted to ask me for money. Now the default that I had was like, another beggar. But then he says, no, I want to buy some food to eat, right? Can you help me buy some
I
food?
I have no problems with people asking me for money. Like if I have it, I'll give it to them.
Now, this is the thing, right? I walked away and then I remember exactly what my mentor, what the guy that I told me. And I walked back and I said, hey, you want something to eat? He said, yeah, that'd be great. And he was not like a bum or nothing, He just said to me, look, I'm on benefits, but my benefits just cover just to live, not even to buy food. I was like, damn.
Mm.
So I went, bought him something. It didn't cost me a lot of money. Maybe £3.50 or something like that. And I came back and I bought the food for him. And then as I was walking out, I was like, you know what? That was a good thing to do. Because I had walked away and then something stopped me and I heard his voice. He said to me, Todd, if you want to be truly, truly wealthy and live in true abundance, you must give, you must help.
Mhm.
I
I
walked
believe
back and I helped it. And you will not believe, right? I came back home and the money that I spent, I made like maybe 1,000 times more than what I spent on him. Because he said to me, Todd, that's a very good thing you do. And I guarantee you, I'm telling you now, you will be repaid for that, just for that one act of kindness. And 2 weeks later, I was like, damn, he was right. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay, confirmed. I will
But
do my best to help all the time because you cannot demand something from someone if you don't already prepare to give it or give
and
it.
and Todd, honestly, not even on just this plane of existence that we're in. Jesus said that like um don't store up your treasures here on earth, but
True.
store them up in heaven. Like if you don't receive back what you've given here on this plane, you'll receive it tenfold in heaven,
Correct.
in the higher plane of existence.
Correct.
Right.
And
So I don't I haven't really gotten a whole lot back, like money wise, for what I've given to people, but I love helping people out. And I don't look at it, I don't expect anything in return. That's my thing. But I do know that through what Jesus said is that the riches that I've stored up here are nothing. They're much greater in heaven.
this is very true. And we've been systematically taught how to worship the flesh and to worship things through attachments to these things.
Yeah.
And this is
We
why,
can't take the things that we've received here when we go up into heaven.
no,
When
we
we
can't.
pass from this flesh, we can't take our Ferrari. We can't take our Mustang or our mansion that we got here. We
No,
can't
absolutely
take
not.
that with us when we go. It's gone. It's staying here. So
Absolutely.
that's why I'm when I split up with my last relationship, I put a lot of my stuff in storage, stuff that I valued like sentimentally. Didn't necessarily value a whole lot monetarily, but it hurt at first. But now I'm able to live with much less, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, this is the thing, right? Like even in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that one of the biggest causes for human suffering is attachments and attachments to
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
And there's a story in the Bhagavad Gita where he talks to his student Arjuna, and he says to Arjuna that you see that piece of gold, that lump of gold, you need to be able to look at that lump of gold the exact same way that you look at a lump of rock or a normal rock.
Mm,
And is in through your detachment of wanting to hold on to that gold is what will help give you your freedom, because we're all trapped um, by our things through these attachments. And this is why, like, you think like social media now is very good at doing that, where we've become addicted now to to our phones, social
hmm
media, and the image that we see from other people, you know.
Yeah,
And excuse me, I can almost guarantee you that most of the people that are on Instagram that are trying to portray this fantastic life they live in are very lonely, sad, and
miserable.
depressed.
Yeah,
I can
absolutely.
almost guarantee it,
Dude, I
right?
fucking see it all the time with coworkers, man. They look so fucking beautiful. They want to portray this false reality that they're portraying on social media, but then you talk to them and they're like, Dave, I don't know what to do. I'm so depressed. And I'm like, why are you so depressed? Look at you. You're beautiful and you're a fucking amazing person. Why are you so depressed? You know? But they're portraying themselves as something much greater on social media.
Dude, I
Like, what's the
saw
point of that?
I saw this firsthand about 3 years ago. I dated a Spanish girl, very, very good looking girl. And I remember a night, she spent a night with me, and then she just started crying, like in the middle of the freaking night. I was like, "What's up with you?" So she told me, me what's going on, yada yada yada. And then when I saw her social media profile, dude, she portrays that she is so happy. Everything in her life is great. She's traveling, you know what I mean, putting out all these like erotic pictures and stuff. And that's when I saw like firsthand, I was like, wow, this is all BS, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, she just start crying in the middle of the night, telling me how sad she is and yada yada yada. I'm like, wow. So this is why I can categorically say, and then because like I use social media all the time and I talk to many people, I can see that the corruption of man, the worshiping of the flesh,
The
that
vanity. Vanity is
vanity,
huge right now.
phew,
That's one of
dude,
the fucking worst
levels,
things out there, man.
levels, man. The levels of vanity is extraordinary, you know?
And I just don't understand it. Like, I told somebody the other day, I said, you don't need all that makeup. Like, you take that makeup off and you're so much more beautiful in my eyes. You know?
Man, today we have a identity crisis. We have a situation where people don't see themselves as being good enough, worthy,
Yeah. Yeah.
and all of that, right? And this is why I think that one of the biggest destructions of the system is going to come through the identity crisis, because yes, we know the state is going to do its thing and become more authoritarian. But when people wake up to that fact and then they realize that they are allowing this to happen through their thoughts, their beliefs about themselves, it's going to absolutely destroy them.
Yeah.
Destroy them to the point where, like, some people can just commit suicide, because this journey and this path that we have to take, like Christ said, the path is narrow and few find it. Buddha said
Yes.
you need
Yeah.
Buddha says you need to take the middle way, right? And what happens is that you have to strip away a lot of layers of yourself, because the image of the self that we've created is just an illusion. It's a hologram.
It's based on the illusion that of the time of what we're living in through the satanic agenda.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. And we need to start to do the hard things when it is easy and
Yeah.
not wait until the times are hard to do the hard thing. Because right now, you could
Yeah,
say that we're in,
you've touched on this last episode, I believe.
yeah, you know, where we are at now, yes, it is hard. It is going to be a lonely path. It's going to feel like it's going to kill you. But guess what? It's actually not going to kill you because it's going to make you stronger. It's going to make you more, give you more belief in yourself to realize that you are not as good as a person as you think you are. That's the first thing that you have to realize.
Mhm.
Then what you need to do now is to remove all the things that don't add value to you, whether it is a country or a place or a person or food you're eating or drinking loads, drugs, whatever.
Mhm.
Only you know what is not serving you.
Yeah, yeah.
And because that looks different for everyone. And right now, you could say that we're in relative peace times. You know, we're not dodging bombs to go to the
Right.
supermarket. We're not dodging bullets. You know, for the most part of us. You know,
Well,
most of
yeah,
the
like
Western
you said,
Hemisphere.
things right now while it's easy, because in the very near future, I would say in the next 12 years or like 8 years, it's going to get a lot more difficult for these things.
Well, this is it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if you wait to do the hard things when it is hard to do, you're going to be more unlikely to try to do them. But now when think that it's easy to do, but it's still hard, it will give you enough time and space in order to work on yourself. Because
This is where Jesus said, "Keep your lamps filled with oil," because
yes,
when the time comes and you're out of oil, you're not going to be able to get it.
correct, correct, correct. And replenishing your lanterns with oil is symbology for you to be working on yourself, for you to
Absolutely.
removing your fears and traumas, because these are the things that will condemn you and cause you to have to repeat this system again. And anyone that is honest with themselves would have to admit that they don't really want to come back to this type of living. This is not living, this is just surviving, you know? We are infinite ultimate beings that can create and manifest anything at will. We can put
Todd,
we can produce magic, you know?
yeah, Todd, this is why people tend to shun people like you and I, because they don't want to come to grips with what the truth is. That, when Jack Nicholson said in A Few Good Men, "You can't handle the truth." A lot of
True.
people can't handle the truth. They can't handle the fact that there needs to be a change in their lives. And this society has made it very difficult for people to embrace change.
Absolutely. Absolutely. People today, we're in the lowest state of vibration that we could be in. I mean,
Yeah, but there's people like us that are changing things, you know?
yeah,
Like
and
in my daily life at work, people tend to gravitate towards me and ask questions, because it's almost as if they see what I have going on in my life. They see it and they're like, and I'm not like, I don't have the best living environment. I don't have the best job. I don't have a Ferrari or this and that, but people still come to me because they sense that I have some kind of a different grasp on reality, and they question me about a lot of things. And I love that. I had an email this morning. I woke up to an email, and this is a shout out because I know they're listening. Uh, this person's name is irrelevant. I'm not going to say the name just out of respect, but this person lives in Hawaii. And they said, they gave me so many nice compliments. And they said, "I've been listening to you and a lot of the other podcasters that you involve yourself with, but I feel that I relate to you more so than others that you're involved with. And they said, you know, like, keep doing what you're doing, because like it's amazing what you're doing. And you know, it's just like really sweet, you know. And I emailed back to them and I said, that was such an awesome email. I don't get a lot of emails, but if you want to come on the show, you're more than welcome. I would absolutely love to have you on. But it was just super sweet to see that, you know. And it's like, it makes me think that I'm impacting a lot more people that probably don't want to speak up to me for some reason. I'm very open to anybody that wants to communicate with me. I never shun people away from me. I'm always welcoming. Like, I welcome people with open arms. And that's, to me, I think that's what it's all about. It's like, if I get to like a point where like it's like I have like 60,000 followers or whatever the fuck it is, and I can't communicate with all my listeners, I probably don't want to be there, you know, because I want to be on the level where I can still be personable with the people that are listening to my show. Sorry, that was just a little tangent I had.
No, that's fair, because you just have to employ a team to go through your emails, man.
To say, yeah, go through my emails. If something sticks out, let me know, and I will personally contact them, you know? But that's how it is, man. Like, I just feel like the more that I put myself out there, the more I want to receive, but also I want to give more. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to describe, but I just love people in general. I've always been a people person. My ex told me I should have been a salesman, but I don't like being a salesman, because that would mean that I would have to promote a product that I don't want to promote. You know?
Fair enough.
So here's me doing my own thing.
Yeah.
You know? This is my little give back to the world.
But the thing is that real happiness comes through service of others, and also like being, you know, independent, that you can make your own choices and decisions and stuff. Because what we live in a matrix that is very oppressive, forces us to do what it wants through conformity, and then that ends up creating groupthink.
Right.
If you are out of the groupthink, the herd mentality, the live mind, then you are seen as the odd man out. Now, I always tell people, if you see everyone doing something, you may want to do the opposite, because the herd never gets it right, you know?
I tell you, Todd, I almost called you Ted. Todd, I tell you, man, like, from the day that I was born, I grew up with 3 older brothers and an older sister, and they're all halves from my mom's previous marriage. And I was listening to rock and roll, metal, soft music, because my sister was more into the soft stuff or the dancey stuff. But I would go to school in kindergarten in grade 1 and grade 2, and I'd be like reading like Metal Edge magazine, which was like metal music, right? And all these kids were listening to like pop music, and I was like, what the fuck are you guys listening to? You know? So I was always that one that was against the grain. And I think that says a lot for people like you and I. I think the people that are awake to truth have always been independent in thought and never joining a clique. I never joined a clique in high school. There was always a clique. There was the jocks. There was the nerds. There was the the colored people in the brown hall, we called it, where the black people hung out. But every time I would walk through each hallway where everybody had their own thing going on, their clique, they would welcome me. They would say, "Hey, Dave, what's going on?" It's so fucking strange, man. Like going full circle in my life, thinking about how I was never part of any kind of group, but I was still not looked at as an outcast because I treated everybody with respect.
I think it's fair to say that most independent thinkers now have never, well, I can't say never, but have hardly been in a group like you were describing, because I certainly wasn't like in a clique or a group per se. Um, Maybe that's one of the reasons why I think so differently, because I just
Right.
refuse to think like everyone else, because
That's my point. Like I never thought I never saw the appeal of having to like join a club or be a part of something that I'm not, you know?
yeah, I get you. I completely get you.
Yeah.
The thing is, the the challenge with that is that you don't really have many friends. You don't have many people you can really, really talk to, because most people today, they just live in a lie. And I would encourage people to read the book called The People of the Lie, and it's a really good book.
The people of the
And
lie.
uh-huh.
Interesting.
And yeah, and basically people will do anything just to conform.
Yeah, people will do anything to be a part of something.
Mm.
And I never understood that throughout my entire life.
Well,
I
look,
never like I had my group of friends and I think a lot of my friends growing up and through high school and beyond they never really conformed to a certain group. It's really strange, man. Like thinking about like my life choices and everything throughout the past and how I am today, like I'm still the same person and I could never get into the cult mentality of anything. I never bought into it.
the thing is, right, is that look at what we have today. You had a, a psychological operation on the entire planet where people were seeing who could be the best at complying, because they just wanted to be in a group where they accepted, where they
Except
everyone else, right? Hey,
yeah,
man, look at me. I wearing my mask and my shield and my two pairs of gloves
I'm a
and then
hero.
mask and another mask. You know what I'm saying?
I'm a hero because I'm saving other people's lives by taking these jabs and wearing a mask.
You know what I mean? And people don't even, it doesn't even register in people's brains to think, hold on a minute. If these jabs are supposed to protect me, then if once I take them, that's it. I'm good.
Yeah.
So if I take them and I can still get sick, question mark, supposedly, then how is that possible? But people don't understand that it's all smoke and mirrors, because what I do think has really happened is that our overlords know about the placebo and the nocebo effect. And the placebo effect is one that you can give someone a saline solution or a sugar pill or whatever and tell them that this is the thing and that they will get better,
Mind
and they would,
trickery.
right. And then you have the nocebo effect, where now you keep using fear to tell people that they can die, they can get sick, you know what I mean? They're not gonna make it, things are really, really bad. And then this is what happens, right? People and getting worse. And Joe Dispenza describes this in his book very, very, very well, called the How to Be Superhuman. And there was a case in there that he referenced, and I think it was like quite old. It was probably like 1957 or something like that. But anyway, I could be wrong on that date.
Probably written by a
But-
Nazi.
No, 57. But listen to this case, right? Just to show you how powerful the mind is. So this guy, he went to the doctor for a checkup, and during his checkup, his doctor diagnosed him with cancer. So the guy didn't really have symptoms. He didn't have symptoms before that he had cancer. This was just a checkup that he went to have, and this was in June.
Let me guess the story.
Go on.
He started getting all sorts of fucking symptoms and tumors because he got the seed planted into his mind that he has cancer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what happened is that after he went to the doctor for the checkup, he started to like get really, really bad, right? And there was this like experimental drug that there was on the market, but it was only available for people that would be, say, 3 months from terminally ill, that they would die.
Mhm.
He had 6, so he didn't qualify, right? So anyway, he begged his doctor, and his doctor knew about the placebo effect, and he gave him some saline solution. So as soon as he got the saline solution, he started to improve, and his supposed quotation marks cancer was started to like really, really reduce. So anyway, a few weeks later, the FDA said that they're going to take this. No, they brought out a report and said that this drug, supposed drug to treat cancer, wasn't fit for purpose. And when the guy heard that, all of his symptoms, he started to get worse. So he went back to the doctor, and the doctor said, "Okay, don't worry, I'm going to give you the super duper clean, pure version." The doctor knew he couldn't get it, but again, he gave him the saline solution.
Right.
So just after he gave it to him, the guy started to improve. Everything was going good. He was in remission again. And excuse me. So when he had spoken to his doctor in June, he told his doctor, "I just want to live until Christmas, to spend a Christmas with my family. And if I die after that, then so be it," right?
Mhm.
All he wanted to do was make it to Christmas. So he got the second saline solution shot, and basically just after Christmas. So he spent Christmas with his family just after Christmas. The FDA took the company and the directors to court, and they said that they're going to be charged for fraud because this product doesn't work. 2 days later, the guy got sick and he went to hospital. Is that 2 or 3 days? And he died. But listen to the kicker. So when they did the autopsy of the guy, he was misdiagnosed. He never had cancer.
Holy
What he did,
fuck.
So he actually killed himself with his thoughts. So this is
That-
why that's levels. I know.
That
Levels.
is fucking deep, man.
So this is why I tell people all the time that your thoughts can heal you, or your thoughts can make you sick. Your thoughts can save you, or your thoughts can condemn you. And then Joe Dispenza, he shows many cases where people died because they just gave up, in the
Yeah.
sense that
Yep.
they just thought they're going to die, and that's it. There are cases of people that got a placebo for chemotherapy, and they told them that these drugs could make you lose your hair, could make you nauseous, make you sick, etc., etc. And I think in one case, 45 minutes after receiving the placebo, well, this was the nocebo effect, right? But it was a placebo where it was saline solution. The person started to get sick, like had they received chemo. So it just goes to show you how powerful the mind is. This is
For
why I
sure.
tell people that we are God. All of us are God. I am God. You are God. The plants are God. The trees are God. The ocean is God. Everything is God. And when you understand that, you understand that you create your own reality.
It's a
And this
very
is why
comforting thought.
your thoughts are king. Your
Yeah.
thoughts create. First, you create your thoughts.
That's
Then your
the
thoughts
anointing.
create.
That's the anointing of Christ.
Yes.
Yeah. To
First,
realize that we shouldn't be worshiping Christ. We should just be coming to the realization that we are the Christ. We are the beings of light.
exactly. This is why I read the high priestly prayer for you, because he clearly said that he is one with the Father and that we are one with him, and therefore we are one in the Father, because he's in the Father and the Father is in us, right?
And this is not some fucking woo-woo new age spirituality bullshit. This is real shit right here.
But yes, it is, because this is even older than Christ, because Christ went
Yeah.
to various places to learn the stuff that he learned.
Mm-hmm.
One of the places he went to was in Egypt. And one of the gods of Egypt was called Thoth, Thoth the Atlantean, because he was the one that taught us.
The Emerald Tablets.
Yep, he taught us writing, he taught us vegetation, he taught us many
These are
different
from
things.
previous global resets, by the way.
Yes. So Thoth the Atlantean in his Emerald Tablet says, "I Thoth the Atlantean, great builder of the pyramid in Giza." Right. Well, it says in land of Cam, and Cam is really Egypt, and we know it's the pyramid. This is where Cam means the land of the black, and this is where chemistry comes from. This is where alchemy comes from, and this is where algebra comes from, because he was the teacher of science and mathematics. Sorry. And we know that he called himself the Son of Man. Who else used to call himself the Son of Man?
Right?
Christ. So this consciousness and this knowledge is
It's nothing
far
new under the
older.
sun.
Nope, it's far older than we understand, because yes, Christ came and he taught us the way, but the message that he came with was the same message that Thoth had. Thoth used to tell us about watching our thoughts and feelings, watching, putting ourselves in boxes, having box thinking. This is why he said, you don't move in, he said, beware of the dark brothers, for they move in angles and corners. And in order to avoid being captured and trapped by them, you need to move in arcs and circles. So what that means is that if there's something that someone says to you, don't dismiss it, because you don't necessarily know if it's true, because it's something new that you're hearing.
But don't take it as absolute truth either.
Well, absolutely. What you do is you go around it. So you, instead of putting it in a box and having dogma,
Take
what you
it
do
and
is
make it part of your truth, but don't believe it wholeheartedly.
yes, and I'm gonna level that comment up. You put it on the shelf and you go around it, because when you go around it, it means that if you go in arcs and circles, so you go around it in a circular manner, you can always go back on yourself if it's in a circle or an arc and get to that thing. And if you
Right.
put the shelf, sorry, it means that you don't dismiss it, right?
Mhm.
If you come across new information or you get a download from the universe, whatever, and you realize that this thing is true, because you just put it on a shelf, you can take that thing off the shelf.
Yeah.
And then it would become your truth at the time.
Right. And
So,
this is what I say all the time. I say, people have asked me numerous times, do you actually believe in like flat earth, or, like the most controversial topics, right? Do you actually believe that shit that you talk about on your podcast? I always say, I'm not married to any idea, but I look at it and study it, and I'm like, could be possible. But at the same time, I'm not going to dismiss any fucking angle of what anybody is saying, right? I'm gonna take it and put it in my hard drive and assess it where I have to, like just like the analogy of you saying, put it on the shelf and look at it later. And if it doesn't jive with what you how you view the world at this point in time, then don't look at it. Leave it on the shelf, right? But I'm not going to dismiss it, like you said.
The thing is with flat Earth is that I personally think that is a psyop. I don't have proof of that, by just looking at the attributes of it, because whether you believe in the heliocentric model or the flat Earth model, what that's doing is that's separating man, right?
Sure.
And that is causing division amongst men.
Definitely.
So I think personally that the flat Earth is a psyop. Albeit, with that being said,
the Bible does talk about the Earth being flat and the four corners of the world.
Now, there's the thing. Remember who wrote the Bible?
Right.
Yeah. So
people who were quote unquote inspired by the Holy Spirit of God.
But there's the thing. All these books, they having good information, but they have the truth and they lie at the same time. So what that means is that you have to have discernment to be able to discern which is truth or which is not. No. The heliocentric model of the Earth, from what they give us, does not work. It does not appear to be correct, right? Now, what I do think is that we have planets that I've looked through a telescope, and like you can see Saturn's rings, and Saturn looks round, right? And the moon looks round, the sun looks round. So why would the Earth be flat? But at the same time, because water always goes to level, you can argue that the Earth is flat. But I'm going to play devil's advocate here, and I'm going to say, what if the Earth were both flat and round at the same time? Because suppose, again, I'm just playing devil's advocate here because I'm not married to either. I do think the heliocentric model is flawed, but I don't know if it is round or flat. But what I would say is that, suppose the plane that we live on is the flat part, right? And that is on the top, because I have come across information that indicates that the Earth is probably a toroid. So it would have round sides, and I don't want to say flat necessarily, but you could say like flat top and bottom.
Like a cone, maybe?
Not a cone, but a flat surface in a sense, because it has an entry point, right?
Sure.
Because we do know that there's an entry point into the Earth, because through Admiral Byrd's diaries, he went into the inner Earth and he met beings in there, and this was in 1947, and he was a decorated 3-star general, right?
Yeah.
And he met beings that were 12 foot tall, and they had ships that they call Fugel rods. And he said that basically aliens fought on both sides in the Second World War. Some fought on the side of the Axis powers, and some fought on the Allied forces, right? And he said that when he went into the inner Earth through Antarctica, that there is an entry in the Earth. There's also supposed to be an entry in the Arctic as well. So there are 2 entries into the Earth, in the inner Earth, the Arctic and the Antarctic. So me playing devil's advocate here, what if the Earth, well, okay, so when they say the top of the Earth is flat, as the flat earthers would believe, and Antarctica and the Arctic are just entry points into that inner Earth, and we've never actually like left the Earth in the sense where like to actually see if it's round or not, because not even the flat earthers have actually been in a spaceship, went out the Earth's atmosphere to have a look and see what it looks like, right?
Sure, which is why I'm not married to either ideal. Yeah.
So people will be making videos on YouTube and BitChute and Odyssey, etc., being very, very rigid in their beliefs. Like I said, beware of the dark brothers, because they move
dogmatic.
Correct. They move in arcs, they move in corners and angles. And what you're doing without actually having physical evidence, i.e., going high enough in the sky to look down on the Earth to see what it looks like. Because let's say that the flat Earth is right and that the continent is all flat. Okay. Now, what about the other planets, right? How come do those look round and the Earth is just completely different where it's flat? This is what I think is probably both flat and round. So we could probably have something under the flat Earth, right? Like a roundish, because a toroid has basically like a flat surface on the top and bottom and is round on the outsides. Maybe we've never even seen the outsides, but the outsides could be there, right? So that means then that the flat earthers could say, yeah, we're right, but then the people that believe in the heliocentric model or Earth that's round could say they're also right, which is why I think it's a psyop. I think it's probably both flat and round, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, like a combination of the
two. So I basically, right, I say that to say that they both could be right, but both of them could not have the absolute truth. Because if I'm looking at, I don't know, say a mobile phone from the front, the mobile phone has a black screen, but you're looking at the back of the phone and the back of the phone is red, for example. Who's telling the truth? You or I?
Right.
Both of us. Because on my side, the screen is black. So I would say that.
Dude, everything is a fucking division tactic, man.
And then
everything.
Then on the back side, you're seeing red. So you're saying, no, the phone is red. But in actual fact, both of us are telling the truth.
Right.
But we don't have the entire truth, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So this is why I say, look, until the round earthers or the flat earthers go high enough to see, it's just speculation.
Yeah.
This is why like I said, what I have discovered is that it is possible that the Earth is a toroid, right? And if it is a toroid, both sides are right, but they're not actually saying that's a toroid. So for me, I don't take a side. What I do know is that the heliocentric model that they give us doesn't work. And what we do know is that the curvature of the Earth and what they tell us is not exactly what they tell us, right?
Sure.
So I think that what I do is I just ignore that whole dialogue, that whole conversation, because I think it sows division. I think it takes you away from searching for the kingdom within. I think it takes you away from doing the work on yourself, because you're making dogmatic statements. And no one on Earth, except the people that control this information, knows exactly what it is. Dude, it could shape like a freaking bottle. Who knows?
I'm telling you, I said it could be shaped like a pear. I don't fucking know, because I haven't been high enough to see it for myself. And I don't think anybody else has. You know? So don't get too fucking dug into your beliefs, because every fucking belief system, in my opinion, is a cult. And if you're in a cult, you have dogmatic beliefs. And dogma is the enemy. Dogma is the enemy of freedom. Right?
Yes.
So stay strong and don't be married to any idea. Keep your fucking mind open, because if your mind is not open, it's like a parachute. If your mind's not open, it doesn't work.
True.
Right?
You know
Frank
what I mean?
Zappa. That's my favorite quote by Frank Zappa. And yeah, dude, I think that's a good way to end off the show. I didn't mean to get so into flat Earth thing, but
No, but
it does fucking resonate with everything that we've discussed throughout this whole episode. So
yes, because again, right? You see, the problem that we have in the world is that people live in too much dogma. People live in dogma of the Bible or the Torah or the Quran. They believe in
not
dogma.
even that, but the dogma of like being a fan of like
Dr. Fauci.
movies or Fauci, yeah, anything can become dogmatic if
Correct.
you you marry yourself to these ideals.
And this is why I'm very glad that you brought up the flat earth, because I've never had the opportunity to really talk about it. And I try to stay very in the middle of it, very neutral, because I don't
Sure, me
dismiss
too.
one or the other. But I have had people that even when I've taken that position have been so dogmatic with me, but they don't realize that they don't actually have physical proof. They've never been high enough in the sky to see. So
And the so-called facts that they dish out on it, you could have, there's evidence for both sides. So why are you so married to your own ideal?
but this is it, right? And this is why I was very clear when I said that it causes division. Because I'm just looking at the
Yep.
attributes of it, and it causes division. Now, like I said, it's good to be skeptical and to, to doubt certain things, because they control all information. But at the same time, you you know what I mean? Christ said, don't take a side. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
can't take a side on this thing. You need to be just neutral. So when you see everything fall into pot, you just, oh, okay, that's interesting. And just keep
Yeah.
going. Just keep doing your thing, because if you get held up, it means then that you can get basically caught up in the doctrine, the dogma, and you don't want that. You want to be very free and light. That's why Christ says, my load is light and my yoke is easy.
It is. I've learned that over the years. And the yoke is not being married to any ideal.
Correct.
Yeah, man.
Until we start doing that, it means then that we will keep condemning ourselves. And this is why I repeat again, we need to do the hard work on ourselves when it's easy, instead of waiting to do the hard work when it's hard to do. We need to forgive ourselves from our fears and traumas, and we need to become Christ, because all of us are God. All of us make up the whole body of God, right? And
Absolutely.
until we realize our divinity, we will keep arguing and squabbling over things that really add no value.
Just fucking love people, man. Love them,
Correct.
kill them with kindness, bro.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I think that's a great way to end off. Do you want to plug anything, Todd?
Well, we didn't say this in the beginning, but while I do talk about these things, and I love talking about them, I'm also an online fitness trainer. So I help spiritually inclined people burn fat and build muscle. And one of the reasons why my students get great results is because I don't just coach their body, I coach their minds. Because the body achieves what the mind believes. So I help them
the mind is the battlefield.
Right. The battle is actually won in the mind, right? So what I try to do is I try to hold up a mirror so that my students can look at themselves in the mirror, figuratively, and they can do some of this hard work on themselves. And, because we know that by getting in shape, you actually create new habits. And when you create new habits, you create new neurons in the brain. And we know that neurons that fire together, wire together. So if you are, especially this time of the year, if you are struggling to not put on the normal 3 to 8 kilos of fat at this time of year, and you think you have what it takes, and you're ready to get into the best shape of your life, learn some cool new skills, and to also learn some of the things that I spoke about on this podcast, you can find me on Instagram at Adriano_246. Or if you use Facebook, you can find me on Facebook with my name, Todd, TODDCAVE. And I'm looking forward to chatting with any of your followers. And if you have any questions as well, any books and sources that I can I've read, I can point you in the right direction to learn some of these things. You can also reach out to me as well. So again, at Adriano_246 or Todd Cave on Facebook. And I'm looking forward to having a chat and help you to get into the best shape of your life, because time is awfully short. And, if you want to level up yourself in all forms, you need to get your body in shape, because when you do that, you raise your internal vibration, which means that you be more open to learning new things and to receiving a new set of truth, because we've been lied to. We've been systematically, is the better word to use, systematically been lied to, and nothing in this world is real.
Forget
And
systematic racism. It's the systematic lies are all over the place.
systematic indoctrination,
Yeah.
So I would help put you on the right direction, and I'm looking forward to chatting you, and also chatting to you again sometime, Davey.
Hell yeah, dude. We'll do it again. I mean, I told you initially that this was probably only going to be an hour or under an hour, but look what we did, over 2 hours. And it's great, man. I highly enjoyed it. I highly appreciate your time, and God bless you, man.
Same to you, my friend.
Not God, but God. The ultimate creator, the spiritual, the actual real spirit, where we came from, the consciousness.
The great spirit,
That's
yes.
great spirit is above all. And thank you so much, man. And you have a good night.
Yeah, you too, my friend.
Cool. Take it easy, man. Bye.
Cheers.